How you doing? We're going to answer all your questions about NFTs right now. My name is Brady Dale, formerly a reporter of CoinDesk, now with The Defiant. Here with an outstanding panel of people who will convince you that NFTs are a fascinating, fascinating thing. Let's just go straight down and have each of my panelists introduce themselves, starting with you.
Hello. Hey guys, how are you doing? My name is Chainlink. I run the Huobi Ventures. The investment.
Get harder on the mic there. Harder on the mic.
Harder on the mic. How's
Yeah.
this? Alrighty. I'm Zhang from Huobi Ventures of the Huobi Global Exchange, and to keep it short, we're launching an NFT marketplace of our own in the very next soon future.
You heard it here first.
Hello. Still have my voice, so pumped about that. My name's Halstead from Chainlink Labs.
Get a little closer.
A little closer?
Yeah.
Close enough?
Yeah.
All right. I work on dynamic NFTs at Chainlink Labs, so we bring real-world data into NFTs to gamify the experience. The outlook is we hope to create fantasy sports and tons of cool projects with NFTs and push the space forward. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Nick Emmons. I'm the CEO of Upshot, and we're trying to bring NFTs more into DeFi through improved NFT valuation mechanisms.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacobo. I'm the CEO and founder of Nahmii. We're layer 2 built on Ethereum, and we're currently building quite a bit of really cool stuff on NFTs.
Get a little closer on the mic there. I can even get you over here.
What was that?
Get on the mic more.
Even more?
Yeah.
Like this? Okay. Anyway, I was saying I'm the CEO and founder of a layer 2 called Nahmii, and we're building a lot of really cool stuff on NFTs, and look forward to catching up with you now.
All right, so, all of us who are here, we're bought into this stuff. We've been around crypto for a while. But the big objection from all the normies and the mainstream media over the last year has been that, why are people spending so much money just to buy a JPEG? So each of you, whichever one of you wants to start, just jump in, convince this room that NFTs are really much more than JPEGs.
I'm happy to start. So NFTs are way more than JPEGs. They are communities. They are your friends. I was out last night at a Wizards meetup, and I got this sweet bag. So it's really just bringing value to communities. Like, everybody just wants to be invited to the party, and being in the party, that's what NFTs are about. It's that opportunity to be a part of a group of people that you agree with, that you see the world the same way. Shaking a little bit. So they are more than just JPEGs. They are physical. They are everything. They can be a building. They can be a person. So, yeah, that's my take on it.
Nice. Yeah, I'll second that. I think NFTs are about community. One thing that I did recently to sort of attest to that is I sold one of my Bored Apes to buy 36 crypto dick butts, and the community there has been so accepting. It's been really a pleasure to feel like I'm part of something larger. I think beyond the community aspect of NFTs, though, NFTs are, at its core, a structural innovation. They allow us to essentially tokenize anything, represent anything on chain, so as more exotic and esoteric financial instruments and vehicles come online, they will be represented as NFTs, and will really be able to fill in the rest of this picture of what a truly decentralized, expressive financial system looks like.
So hold on, I want to pause right there. I just want to get a feel for the room here. Give me a big round of applause if you think trading one Bored Ape for 36 dick butts was definitely the move. All right, if you think that was crazy, give us a round of applause. Kind of evenly divided on your trade there. We don't know.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'll be buying more. Don't worry.
It was a bold move. All right, whoever wants to go next.
I mean, who says JPEGs doesn't have value, right? But to me, in addition to what my co-panelists were saying, I think what gives the uniqueness to NFTs or the value behind it is its uniqueness. One is different from the other. And second of all, if we're talking about other forms of art, we think of its value, it was built on the historical difference that it makes, or the significance that it holds from a period where we don't have such a thing to we do have such a thing. It says something about what this generation is making out of technology based on that, and making something new out of it. It's something that was seen before. And based on how, say, 100 years from now, people then look back in time at this moment, say, okay, around 2020, around 2019-ish, there was a bunch of people who started to realize something based on a decentralized ledger, a series of codes, a series of random and verifiable indicators or numbers created this form of art. And that's what makes it unique.
So you're basically saying we're in the impressionist moment right now.
We're in the right. I think we're in the very, very early stages. Honestly, I've only come to realize this whole thing very recently.
Okay.
And I am starting to encourage folks around me to see this my way, or at least share my view on that point.
Cool.
So I agree with many of the points that have been raised here, but I also disagree with many of those. Ultimately, the price of a JPEG is being set by the market. So if somebody wants to pay $1 million, rightfully so, has to do it. But I think that there are a lot more to that, right? So you need to find I mean, what is going to give value to a JPEG ultimately is going to be scarcity and utility. And in the first wave we experienced in 2021 was fantastic. You know, NFTs went to the forefront of publications, you know, rock stars and sports athletes and so forth. But that was just a little taste of what it can be, right? And if we keep on doing that, it's not going to go very far. We need to find that utility, that scarcity. We need to bring in the big boys. We need the technology, because unfortunately technology is not there, irrespective of what most of you might think. We cannot onboard 1 billion people tomorrow in the NFT world. So it is our duty to avoid being in the radar of the SEC, as with many other cryptocurrencies, just to find that sweet spot, right? So we can find that scarcity, utility on board the big brands, and actually build something that people want to pay money for. So that's my take.
And I just want to add to that, like Lauren was saying, she thinks that NFT is just more than JPEGs. I think pictures, JPEGs, whatever you call it, is just only one form of representation in the physical world of such code based on such ledgers. And obviously, physical objects, real estate, something else, something that we might have not even heard of that we're going to create in the next decade, it's also going to be an NFT.
Yeah, 100%. Besides the physical world, it does really make sense in the metaverse. Here I go with my Pokemon analogy, as always, but say you guys are all playing Pokemon Go right now, you all will see that same Pikachu. But with an NFT, when you capture that Pikachu, it'll be your own Pikachu, and you can bring that Pikachu different powers. So I think that's a good example of the way to think about it. So when we all are in the metaverse, if we choose to go down that black hole, yeah, you'll be able to have your own little animals, your own people, your own friends, and they'll be identified by that address that's attached to it. So I think it makes sense there.
It's like a dream, my own little Pikachu. I always wanted. So, okay, so another big objection we get in this space is that this is kind of ICO 2.0. You know, it's a bunch of people chasing a bunch of money, and it's kind of crazy hype. And on some level, you know, we can say it's all art, and it's this beautiful new art era, but it does seem to be heavily about the money. And does that like undermine sort of the more visionary values that we're trying to represent with the idea that Lauren was talking about of NFTs sort of being the beginnings of community? Like, is the value kind of a problem? I'm going to shoot this to Nick first, since you're the one dealing with value.
Sure. I think there's a lot of noise, undoubtedly. We're in a bull market. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of money to be made. I don't think that takes away from the quality and sort of the historical landmarks that are these blue chip NFTs, the punks, the apes, the dick butts, the squiggles, these more generative pieces. These things are building genuine communities. These things are creating and capturing genuine, lasting value, and so they will live past these cycles. Many NFTs will go to nothing. Many will fade to irrelevancy, as happens with these sort of bull cycles in markets. But I don't think that takes away from sort of the blue chip nature of the kind of set of genuine NFTs or quality NFTs.
I totally agree, especially one, we're very early. Second, we can ride through the first kind of waves, right? And for any kind of assets, especially starting, let's say, 2013, when people were starting to trade Bitcoins and whatnot, yes, of course, back then a lot of people were saying the prices go up and down, what's real value behind it? That's all noise. People trade as a means to find its price. It's a price discovery mechanism, and what Nick is doing is part of that, right? So we've seen projects, we've seen collections, we've seen artists issue new collections of NFTs. Yes, people go crazy sometimes, and then on the secondary market of those collections, people go even crazier. Do we say that the price is too high, or is the market too overheated? Those are all relative terms. one, like I said, I think we're in a very, very early stage of impressionist era on this whole new class of assets, and we're going to have a whole lot more of turbulence and ebbs and flows on the price itself if that's one indicator of its actual value. But through trade, through giving it more use cases, to developing more forms based on that code, I think we're going to get there in time, but let's ride out the turbulence together, right?
So yeah, there is a lot of value in the early big projects, and they have settled and they have done very well. But as it happens often in crypto, as you were saying about the ICO era, what we see is a combo of copy and paste, people trying to get rich quick. And that's just not going to work, because we have what we could call so much bullshit credit with the industry, right? If we keep doing the same stuff, we will run out of bullshit credit. And then corporations will not want to embrace this technology called NFTs, right? So it is our duty as tech people just to go out and innovate and present alternatives, different ways to build communities, as you were indicating, or different ways to engage with brands or consumers. But it is our duty to do that.
So I personally think NFTs are interesting. You know, I'm a reporter who covers DeFi. I cover decentralized finance. And to me, what NFTs represent is like the beginning of property on the internet. And there's nothing that finance likes more than property, right? So to me, NFTs are the beginning of what I like to call NiftyFi, the marriage of NFTs and DeFi. But really, I think that actually is just finance. But I wonder what you guys think. Like, on some level, are we confusing ourselves with this notion of NFTs? Because it's mostly art right now, but people are doing a lot of other cool stuff with NFTs that isn't really art exactly. The best known example is Uniswap V3 positions are represented with NFTs, which is a very cool use of the technology, but it doesn't feel the same as a Bored Ape. You know, and it feels kind of dumb to lump them in the same category. Like, I don't know, what do you guys think about that sort of, is it confusing? Is it fine? I don't know. What's your thought?
Confusing is fun. Like I said, JPEGs, or people call art, or what you call Bored Ape style or series of any kind of the ones, the PFPs that you can buy on OpenSea. Yes, that's one form of NFT that's mostly, I would say, most widely accepted at this moment. But then again, we're going to see other forms of property, or property, like you said, or I call it assets, based on that technology, and going to be represented in other forms, physical or electronic. And we're going to try, and all of us here are trying to give the code, the NFT, more meaning by allowing more use case on top of that. Because doing price discovery, we're launching the NFT marketplace. I mean, trading is one of the first things that we can do with properties. But then after that, we're going to see gaming items. We're going to see, obviously, profile pictures. We're going to see avatars. We're going to see real estate in the metaverses. And people, one, of course, trade. Two, let's bring people to it. Three, how do they interact? And four, do they generate revenue? Do they generate value? Do they generate entertainment stuff for any kind of participant in this sphere? So weird is, or confusing is fun.
Yeah. See, Lauren really seemed to want to jump in there. You seem to have a thought.
My thoughts. No, I think it's confusing, but it's really not confusing. As if you just like, it's just really just anything ownership. So, like bringing more value to NFTs. What we're going to see, I think, is right now most Bored Ape holders have their Bored Ape and then they eat ramen in their house, and we have to find more use cases. So we lend out the NFT. People can borrow off of it. You can share the value, and then that person can go out and buy something else besides ramen. Maybe that's all they want to eat, but yeah, just using like NFTs as collateral for lending, I think, is pretty much the future, which is similar to what Aave is doing, but it's not with a physical photo.
What I'm curious about with what you said Chainlink is working on with like, potentially fantasy football on NFTs or whatever is like, how hard is that to do with the infrastructure stack we have right now? Because it sounds like you would have an NFT that needs to be able to change over time, right? Like, so I'm just curious, like, how hard is that with what we have?
How it's all completely possible. So any data. So right now it's easiest with sports data or price feed data, like we're famous for our DeFi our DeFi price feed. So say you wanted to have an Ethereum mood ring. That Ethereum mood ring could turn green when the price of ETH goes up, can turn red when the price of ETH goes down. If anybody wants to create it, I would love that. But it's definitely possible, but the more people that buy into this, the easier it will be to be done, because then there'll be more nodes operating. The biggest hurdle right now is obviously the cost of operating a node to provide data in real time to update a sports NFT in real time. But with more buy-in and more people interested in this, it's 100% possible. I think within the next few years, we'll see an entire, like the NFL gamifying all of their NFTs. So at the beginning of the season, you pick not Tom Brady anymore, but if he ends up winning the Super Bowl, that NFT will have extreme value. And then there's other things Chainlink can do with NFTs. We have a verified randomness function, so proving on-chain randomness. So if you have that Tom Brady NFT at the end of the season, then maybe you get a random chance to beat him in real life. And that's what Chainlink can do. He can make sure things are fair and true, which is why truth over trust, pushing that, everything, math can prove everything. So definitely a lot of things we can do with NFTs. So the more creative ideas people have, they come to us, and basically we just build out all these new ideas.
So just let me go back to one thing that you said about the property. So that is a little bit of a fallacy. Yes, it is true that the first games that sell property in form of NFTs are going to be successful because it's novel, it's interesting, will engage people. But the difference between physical property and digital property is that you have limited and infinite. So that is not going to match very well. Second, in terms of cool stuff that you can do with NFTs, we have put together a POC, which is VR, that I would love you to come and check it out, and which leverages as well the power of, for example, the technology we have built, which is infrastructure. Infrastructure is not very sexy, I have to say, but isn't it? Without infrastructure, we cannot build anything.
I think
infrastructure
is sexy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, infrastructure is necessary.
Get a round of applause for infrastructure out there.
There you go. There you go. There you go. But yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to scarcity, utility, and it's our job to figure out what is that we can do to engage those communities and brands and bring them on board. Because it's not enough selling, very cool, expensive, first generation of NFTs. We need to find that sweet spot ASAP.
That's why we have to give them more utilities. Gamifying NFTs is essential to keep it going. I don't see any other way around it. Obviously, the Bored Apes will continue. I see them becoming giant global brands like Gucci. That's really the future, I think, of those projects. But to make something interesting, it needs to change in real time to data and give you an incentive. Like, why did I buy this NFT? Like, I don't know, I joined the club. It's like, no, I bought this NFT because next season, there's a random chance I'm going backstage with the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I just to kind of build on top of this, I think NFT as a term is more of a reference to a sort of file format for this decentralized world, and not necessarily a given category or a specific category of assets. As increasingly more esoteric financial assets are represented as NFTs, which they will, because NFTs are a structural innovation at its core, the term NFT will sort of fall out of vogue, and we'll have more specific kind of defined terms for the kind of subcategories that fall into NFTs. We're using NFTs synonymously with art and collectibles right now because we're in a very nascent state right now where art and collectibles are what have captured the kind of world's attention and excitement of NFTs. But the term itself will fall to the wayside, I believe, as more kind of diverse asset classes start getting built on top of this file format, essentially.
I definitely agree, especially it's the technology behind it. It's the file format, what we do with it, what it represents, the form actually people can interact with. That's going to be different, right? And I want to respond to what Jacob was saying about the property scarcity part. I don't necessarily think that scarcity is the only thing that separates, let's say, metaverse property from the real properties that we see down the streets. Obviously, we only have so much land in the city of Denver, and there's so much corner units for commercial users. In metaverse, it's supposed to, yes, we can create monumental amounts of them and just constantly copy and pasting them. But the thing is, still, I think we're at a very early stage at what we can figure out these things can do. It's not only about accessing to a plot of not physical land in the metaverse, what it does, what the billboards on it shows in the advertisement, like what many projects do, but also it's only a representation of a spot in the metaverse. It's really what goes on behind the scenes, I think that matters, because even if, say, the metaverse shows that this land is about 1,000 square feet in their world, can we only pack a 2-bedroom house there, or can we pack more? Because we can create non-physical access points from each layer, and then it takes you to, like a portal to different functionalities that opens up a whole new world behind those doors. So forced scarcity, like some kind of coins, like very many early versions or collections of NFTs, does drive up the price because, yeah, there are only so many of them. But later on, I don't think scarcity is going to be necessarily tied with the price, value, or how they're going to be used.
So you're making a lot of assumptions that your reasoning is right? But 90+% of those assumptions do not exist yet in the so-called metaverse, because most people doesn't even fucking know what the metaverse is. So let's go back to that. Second, if we had 21 infinite number of, bitcoins, it wouldn't be the same price. We all know that. So yes, you're right. It's about utility, it's scarcity, it's about what can you get done with it, right? Why would I want to buy it? In the case of, punk but yeah, it's the first one. It's pretty fucking cool. And in 10 years, we'll still be the first one. But what we see is everybody copying, pasting, and hoping to make yet another $1 million. So it just comes down to, pushing the boundaries a little bit further, and it comes down to us. So, a lot less talking, more doing. But yeah, your assumptions were right, but still very much over-promise, under-delivering. Nobody's delivering that just yet.
Well, it's not 100% though, right? Because like if you go back to the ICO era, everyone talks about that era as 100% garbage, and that's not true though, right? Like it was mostly, like most of the projects were garbage, but most of the money actually went to projects that are still going today and have shipped, right? So similarly, I think we have a lot of copy-paste NFTs, but there's also some pretty strong ones. We learned on the stage today that apparently dick butts are already blue chips. I think someone was pumping their bags there a little bit, but whatever. The
flipping is coming between apes. Dick butts will flip apes.
Okay, the dick butts will flip apes. Everyone should know that right now. But so I guess my point is that, like, yes, there's a lot of copy-paste, but probably there is a bunch of diamonds in this early rough, it seems like.
And that's what we have to push for, right? We have to push for those diamonds to go at the very front, so then we can actually onboard the next billion users, right? Because the way it is right now is not going to cut it. And back to your ICO comment, absolutely. I mean, we did one, 2017. We built one of the first layer 2s, and we're still in business. So yeah, you have some good stuff coming out of it.
Groovy. We have 2 minutes left, and I'm sorry if I misunderstand anyone up here. I can only get about 30% of what anyone's saying right now, so I apologize in advance. So one last thing on the future of NFTs. I'm just curious, are there any pudgy penguins in the room? Pudgy penguins? Got a couple? Okay. Do you guys, so right now, Pudgy Penguins is kind of this rebellion's going on among the owners of Pudgy Penguins to take it over from the people who made it, which is this interesting thing because early in NFTs, early in the NFT era, the idea was it was a great way for artists to make more money in a new way. And now it's sort of, people start to think like, no, if you buy one, we all own this thing together and we all share in the profits. And so it seems to me like, what do you guys think about the idea of the future of NFTs really being this like crazy new form of human coordination and governance? Like, what's your really quick reaction there? We have like next to no time, but.
Yeah, no, I love that you brought this up. So I was down at Art Basel at the Pudgy Penguin Party about a week before everything blew up, and it's just so interesting to see that the community around it is outweighing the people who started it. Like, a ton of my friends, a lot of people out there in the stage are Pudgy Penguin owners, and this is the new coordination. Like, doesn't matter who started it. It's the fact that it's going to keep going. That's how amazing it is, really. I think at least.
Yeah, I think it, really quickly, I think it just attests to the kind of strength of community around these things. It's not the creators that are controlling how people are going to react and kind of move through a given NFT or a given community. The community feels a sense of ownership, a sense of sort of fervor for the success in a specific direction for these NFTs. And I think that the kind of Pudgy Penguin case is a decent case study in that.
I'm a guy who's all for experiments. Like, if you draw a painting, then it's a piece of property. You own it, you own it. But if you issue a collection of NFT, there's this new voice of saying, okay, everybody who got it or a piece of it owns the whole thing, or they're going to share. I think these are just new ways, or people trying to express how they think this type of technology or this kind of property asset, if you call it, built on the NFT, the protocol or the file format. And I cannot necessarily say which one is holding more truth or of the real world, how it works, but I welcome all types of that.
Cool. All right, well, thanks to our panel for coming. Thanks for all of you for listening. Help me make the term Niftyfy a thing, and enjoy ETH Denver. Peace.